This is a good jam.
It is a great sound. All right. So it looks like we are recording here. So, yeah, welcome to the Fall In podcast. I'm Jamil Madden. I'm here with Chris, Veronica, and Marlon. I'm going to stop the intro now so you can actually hear me. But yeah, so these veterans have participated in our August Hackathon, and they built SkillMeUp. So yeah, I was gonna do like a round robin kind of like intro. I see Chris first on my screen. Chris, do you want to kind of just briefly talk about your background and how you got into coding? Let's start there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jamil. So my background is kind of somewhat stereotypical for a coder. I was good at math when I was a kid, so everyone told me that it would be a natural fit. But at the same time, I had other things on my radar that took a higher priority. I had an interest in aviation. I wanted to serve in the military. Um, so I just never really took programming as a serious career choice until after I got out. After I got out of the military, I was exploring different options, and I continued. I continued to kind of have friends who were interested in engineering and computer science and different things. But I don't know what my mental block was or my holdup was, but I wasn't super serious about it. And it was like, I think probably 5 to 7 years after getting out of the military that a friend really got on my case about it and said, "Hey man, um, I'm doing this. I'm a software engineer. I'm doing really well for myself, and I think you should give this a try." I went out on a limb and investigated boot camps and found one that I really liked in Salt Lake City called V School. And I talked to one of their co-founders, Mo Reeder, and really liked what he had to say. I met a couple of the instructors and started on the pre-course, finished the course 3 months later with a certificate, and that's how I got into coding as a professional software developer.
Sweet. Yeah, lots to unpack there. So yeah, we'll circle back. Veronica, do you want to go next with your background and how you got into coding?
So, hi, it's me, Veronica. So, not like Chris, I discovered computer science by accident. I was taking a public policy in Arizona State, and I had one math class that I was trying to avoid. I was really trying to avoid it because I was bad in math growing up. It was not my strongest thing ever. So it was like the class is applied statistics. And so I took it. I was like, okay, should I take it by itself? Because I know I'm not going to be good at it. But to my surprise, I really loved it. And I think um, now I understand why people like, young folks like love math because the problem solving uh, aspect of it. But I really enjoyed statistics and then so when the class was ending, my instructor was like showing us like some data visualizations using R. So I was like, what the hell is that? Like, how do you do that? And he said like, you can only always do this like using Python. And there's this thing called data science. So I was like, so I Googled it. I was like, what the hell is data science? So I was like, by reading and reading, data science is a segment of computer science. So, and what I did after that quarter in Arizona State, I took intro programming in DVC. It's a community college here, just to see if I'm gonna like it. And after 3 semesters, I took intro, I took advanced, and then system design in C++. And during that time, of course, I was still I was still in the guard at the time. So I did 6 years in the guard, and then I did 1 year in the reserves, army. Um, what was that? So I was like, yeah, I don't wanna, because I'm 6 classes away with my public policy, and I'm already there, But I was like, I need to turn this around and start, like exploring. So I enrolled like in pre-calc. At first I had like because I didn't have like any top-notch math classes in my resume, in my transcript. So I have to take those. And good thing when I was like leaving in the military, Microsoft, they have this coding bootcamp for veterans. It's called Microsoft Software and Systems Academy. They were offering it fully funded online now, and I was like, at the time I was working in a startup tech called Grabango, which is the software is somewhat like Amazon Go, when shoppers go into the store and they just have to scan their phone, and you know and I have to quit that job just to hop on the skill bridge, because the MSSA is a skill bridge. So at first my first worry is like, am I eligible? Because I'm already like out, and since it's a skill bridge, I know it's only for transitioning service member. And but they said, yeah, you're good. Just send me your 214 and stuff like that. And yeah, I just graduated like last July, and now so for the whole month I was like interviewing, applying, and luckily I landed my first role starting on September as a full stack software engineer.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks like Chris has something to say. Feel free to unmute, Chris, whenever you want.
Yeah, I just want to jump in and say congratulations, Veronica. That's huge.
Thank you, thank you. It was honestly like the role that I'm doing, since it's a full stack, but they want me to mainly work on C#.NET back end, since that's what Microsoft, the bootcamp that I came in. And I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I won't mention the company name yet because I'm still interviewing still with other people.
Hmm.
So yes. So yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats again, and I'm sure it's going to be like a fun experience shifting from different language paradigms. Um, but yeah, awesome. There's a lot to unpack there as well. But let's dive into Marlon's background. Marlon, you want to unmute and take it away?
Hey everyone, so I'm Marlon Nunez. So the way I started getting into the IT field in general, I remember I had an uncle who was I believe at the time he was doing cybersecurity for his job, and then I would go over to his house and he'd always show me cool stuff on the computer, like yeah, like you can do this and you can do that. And I remember specifically, I believe he was showing me Wireshark because he was basically saying like, "Hey, look, this will show me everything that's happening on our internet." And I was like, "Whoa, that's crazy! Good thing I don't live here. I gotta watch what I'm searching up when I'm in his house." So that's where it kind of started. And then I joined the military, years later, in high school as a radio tech. And at that point, I was always figured that I was kind of like a tech type of person, and we worked closely with the data marines who were kind of like re-imaging computers and setting up our network. And I was like, oh wow, that is really cool. And so towards the end of that, I was like, I want to start getting into that. And they had like classes we could take. They had like Net Plus and Security Plus, like Marine Corps classes where you could learn about it, and then if you wanted to on your own, you could go get your cert. I never went to go get my cert. I just took the class, and then once I left the Marines, I went to college for computer science, and that's when I started getting into code. And I was like, oh, okay, this is a little bit cooler. Like, it's a lot more hands on. The Net Plus and Sec Plus courses was like just memorizing a lot of like terms and like rules and things like that. But like coding was like, okay, I'm typing, I'm actually seeing something happening on the screen. And then COVID hit. And I was like, man, college during COVID is not really like what I want to do. It's like kind of stressful. Nobody really knows what they were doing at the time. I was like, I'll take a break. And then I saw a cybersecurity bootcamp, went through that, kind of the same thing. I got some certs out of it. And I was like, okay, it's still kind of the same thing. I still have that feeling where it's like, yeah, this is very term heavy, a lot of very book heavy, just memorizing a lot of terms and rules. And then I was trying to get a job after that. Maybe I wasn't applying to the right places or anything, but I wasn't getting anything. Um, And then finally, my friend, I hit him up and we're just talking, and then he was telling me like, yeah, I'm doing a coding boot camp. It's like super cool. I'm learning this. I'm learning HTML and like how to build websites. So I'm like, oh, that's really cool. I think that would be like really cool to add on to my skill set. And so he told me about it, and it was ended up being a boot camp for Sabio in Los Angeles, and I went through that and finished last week. And yeah, the whole time I was going through it, I had some background knowledge coming from college and stuff, and like the more I did it, the more I just really got really into it. It was like we were learning at the same time, but also coding at the same time. It wasn't like I was just hitting books for a week and then like, maybe next month we'll get some hands-on experience. Like no, we were learning and getting experience at the same time, and like that felt a little bit better with me, and so I really enjoyed it. And then yeah, so I finished that, and then now I'm just looking for jobs, and I have two second round interviews coming up. I think I'm feeling pretty good about them. They seem to like me and my experience, so hopefully I'll get some offers my way.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
that's
sweet, man.
huge. Good job, Marlon.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Thank
getting
you.
like hit up from graduating from a coding boot camp so soon is like pretty crazy. Um, yeah, I'm curious. You didn't want to go drill instructor route when you got out, um,
it was
as a
it was something I always thought like, oh my man, it would be cool. It would be so cool, but for like a week, because then like the drill instructor training itself, it's almost like going through boot camp all over again. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that. And then I feel like that's probably the easiest part is the training, because then you have to do that on a daily basis to train recruits. And man, when I first went to boot camp, I just remember being like, man, these dudes don't sleep, they don't eat, like what? It wasn't until like a month later I was like, oh okay, they are human. you know it's a hard job. So
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, Chris, I was curious, what caught your eye about the hackathon?
Well, a couple things. Primarily, obviously, you and I have kind of connected a couple times about Fall In and what you're working on and your involvement, like bringing veterans in to do these kind of things. And I've wanted to participate for a while, and so a little more to add to my background. I've actually been out of development for a little bit, um, going on about 11, 12 months. So about a year. I've been working on other things, and I've gotten the itch again. I've gotten the itch to get back to programming. And as Marlon was talking, I couldn't help but relate to this like idea that when you're programming, especially development that involves front end development, you're typing and you're seeing, right? Like you're typing and seeing what you're building, and that's really exciting. So I just wanted to start building things again. And when I saw the invite or the announcement for this most recent hackathon with Fallen, I got pretty excited about it. So I had to do it.
Can
Very
I say
cool.
something real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
So you guys said like the front end, like you type something, you build something, you see it right away. And I think my experience overall, but which is what I like, is like during our hackathon, I was like, oh my God, HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I was like, that is my weakest. But like with backend, like with C Sharp and C++, it's like you type something, there's a bug, and then you hit your head and and do it again, because we gotta it's hard, compared to front end, it's harder to like see what's going on with your code. But yeah, but I was really
It's a
really like, mhm,
it's a different beast, isn't it?
yeah. But I was like really like intimidated during our hackathon, because like the front end is not me. That's why I was like, yeah, I made some form. I was like, that's good.
Um, how did you, or I guess what caught your eye about it?
So so a couple of weeks ago, or maybe 3 weeks, maybe last month, not sure. I attended the Uber Boost Academy like info session, and Cynthia was there from Operation Code, and I was like, oh, I don't know what this is, so I joined their Slack, And I actually saw the hackathon through Operation Code channel, and I just joined it because I haven't tried a hackathon before, and in my cohort we didn't really work on groups. It's always like individual projects. So I wanna try, or I wanna be in a group and work something. You know, yeah, that's what really caught me.
For sure. Yes, Marlon, same question. What do you think it was that caught your eye about it?
Well, so it was dropped in the chat, in the Sabio chat where we had in Slack, and people post, opportunities, stuff like hackathon all the time, and then I just figured, like you said, you're kind of surprised that coming from a boot camp that I'm getting a job so quick, but at the same time, it's like I know I'm coming from a boot camp and I don't have like a lot of, I guess, physical hands-on experience. So I just figured out, okay, I need to start building almost like a portfolio. Like, okay, I did this, and then I built this and I built that. That yeah. So that's basically what I will caught my eye for it.
Very cool. Um, so yeah, I want to tie back to the military stuff again. I'm curious, Chris, why did you decide to get out of the Marine Corps?
Yeah, great question. That's almost like a trick question. Um, it was like me and the Marine Corps broke up. Like I wanted to keep dating, and she was like, maybe I want to see other people. And so so I took my discharge, and for the record, it was an honorable discharge. So
Okay, if anyone's
no,
checking out there.
there were no like felonies on my record or anything crazy. But no, I always pictured myself doing a
Can you
full like
imagine if a tech company asked, they're like, hold up, what
yeah.
sort of discharge is it?
no, no. Really, what it boiled down to was that we're headed in different directions, and we got along great, but we were just different people than when we first got together, And so, um, yeah, that's what precipitated the end of that relationship. Um,
I
yeah,
feel like everyone can relate.
yeah, for sure. So, but I love the military, and I'm super glad I did it. When people ask me about it, I have a hard time summarizing. I'm sure you guys can relate. Like, there are so many different experiences you could go through on any given day in the military, and so to summarize that, when a civilian asks, "How was that?" or "What was that like?" it can be kind of challenging. But overall, I'd say it was one of the best things I ever did with my life.
Yeah, what about you, Veronica? What made you decide to get out?
So a lot of people's perception, like if you're a part timer, like the guard or reserves, it's easy. It's actually, I feel like it's my opinion, actually like harder because I have to maintain a paying job to like sustain my life. Plus, I have to like still be a soldier and then be a student at the same time. And here I'm in California, and you know how wildfires here. I'm always busy. Like the guard is like hands down. Like we're just like busy out here, and it came to a point that um because I really thought that I was gonna do 20 because it like when I joined like 2013. I can't even remember like how I was at that time, but I really like thought like 20 years I can do this because it's only part time. But it takes so much of my it's a big responsibility, and yeah, it's just time for me to move on and enjoy the civilian life. And
For sure.
I'm really grateful. I went back because I was in IIR, and the reserves were like, yeah, we have a new signal unit, yada yada, and I want to give it a chance. It's it's like night and day, the difference of maybe because it's the leadership and lifestyle, but the reserves is a good, like if that was my first unit, maybe I'll re-enlist it, but it's just time for me to go.
Cool. And you guys, yeah, feel free to unmute and dissect whenever you guys want. And feel free to ask each other questions, myself. But yeah, Marlon, what made you get out?
So kind of Chris hit it on the head. Honestly, that's really like the best description I could give.
Yeah,
But yeah, like I said, I was in radio tech. It was more like troubleshooting electronics, and that's kind of like I was like at that point I was just like, no, this isn't really what I want to do. And there's just like so many steps to transition into a different job and things like that. And then at the same time, like I just didn't agree with how like my yet last unit was doing things, and so I was just like, you know what, maybe it is just time to move on, and then I can figure out what I really want to do and not really have those type of restrictions. Um, like I said,
yep,
I left with a really bad taste in my mouth. Like if you asked me, like probably like a
right,
year within I since I got out, I was like, man, I would have been like, fuck them, like whatever this and that.
yeah,
But man, now I look back on it, I'm like, I've gotten so many benefits from it. I've learned so much from it. Like the main reason why I learned about this boot camp is because of a dude I used to work with in the Marines. Like we were super close. Like if it wasn't for that, maybe I would have never gotten to that boot camp. You make those connections. Like there's just so many, I would say, hidden benefits that you don't see at the moment when you're in. And yeah,
yeah.
now I would tell you like, yeah, I it's like Chris said, it's one of like the best decisions I've made in my life because it's given me so many opportunities during and then even after I'm out. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a love hate relationship with it myself. Chris, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, no, I think Marlon and have pretty similar stories. I think we were both in the Marine Corps, right? Yeah. So, but also I had a question for Veronica, if that's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, during like when Jamil was asking you about what caught your eye about the hackathon, you mentioned
Hmm.
something to do with like being in a group, working on a project in a group, and
Hmm.
that totally resonated with me. And so I guess for Veronica, but also Marlon and Jamil, like hackathons in general, and this one that we just did. I'm curious, what were like your one or two biggest takeaways from the hackathon and things that you really gained from it?
Um, for me, my biggest takeaway is, first of all, like working with strangers. Like we never met before, and I remember on my first day of hackathon, I don't even know how to move. I'm not a gamer, like really, just working with strangers and on the learning side, on technical side, get like that was like super, super. Like I wrote down everything that I can because I learned a lot from that, and I'm thankful for you guys because without that, I probably like YouTube it all the way, you know.
I know we had a lot of workshops and speakers. Were there any that like stuck out to you guys? There was like a wide variety of them.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I enjoyed listening to all the speakers I was able to whose talks I was able to attend. But the one that like really wowed me and blew me away was our keynote speaker, Barbara Oakley, Dr. Oakley.
Same, same.
Cool. Um, yeah. Anyone else?
My biggest like takeaway from her is just like she really went in deep on like because not a lot of people like that like switching careers or like transitioning. Um, they just they don't think that they can because they don't know if they can still learn. Like it's just like learning how to learn.
Yeah,
And I'm older compared to most of the people I work with. But like I always say, like if you want something but you don't have an experience or you don't know how to start it, it's just basically like computer science. Like I never thought that I would really like math or technical aspects of it, but it's just like teaching yourself how to learn things, and that was my biggest like takeaway.
yeah, that how to learn was awesome.
yeah, I think I agree. I was just having a conversation with my sister and my mom. They were basically talking about how like once you get older, you lose that ability to learn. And I feel like she was kind of talking about how you really only lose that ability to learn because it's like a lot of people after school or college, they don't really like, they just do like what they learn to do, and they just do like everyday things. And then maybe they won't take the time to learn like a new skill, be it like maybe they don't have time or whatever the case is. But it's like a muscle, like you got to work it out, you got to keep learning how to learn. And I feel like I personally feel like anybody can learn anything. Just it's
Mm-hmm.
just learning how you individually as a person can learn the easiest way. Because even going through Sabio, I feel like I was learning at a different in a different manner than other people. Like I would say, like I could put in like a good hour of work, and then I would need probably a little bit more of a break than most people do. Like I would probably take like another hour to take a break, but then once I hit that next hour, I'm like gonna like probably make up for all that time that I just used, because I had that. And then also I also felt like Akshay Nanavanti,
Yep.
he wrote Firvana. That was probably like a good mix. It was a little bit of like, you gotta train your brain a little bit, but then he was like, yeah, sometimes you gotta push yourself to the limit and like push past that limit once like the fear factor comes in and all that. Really good speakers. I thought it was a good mix.
Sweet.
How do you guys feel about like the networking opportunities? I feel like someone started that thread with like LinkedIn handles and LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
links. I love that.
Vital,
What
yeah,
do you guys think of
yeah.
that?
It's good. Like once I saw it, I just dropped my link, my LinkedIn.
Yeah, networking is always like it's always premium because you just never know who you're going to connect with. And like I met John Dang, one of the judges, years ago, like before we met through Operation Code before Operation Code was a Slack channel, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's we were doing like physical stuff, and that's how I met him. We went through like a GitHub, like a 3 day conference, and um, yeah, he just like recently dropped out of Harvard and like Harvard Law, and he was doing a shift into coding, and he just had a really interesting background. Um, but yeah, um, I guess like um, what podcasts are you guys listening to these days?
Um, I'm listening. You know the Code Newbie.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, big fan of Code
yeah.
Newbie.
So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not consistent right now because I've been really busy. But whenever like I have like downtime, I sleep. I take a nap. But I've been listening to that and a lot of about oh my god, what is that? Greatness. Let me just look at it. Um, happiness, greatness. Oops. Oh, and then there's a new one. Don the developer. I started following him, but yeah, those just those. I don't have a lot of podcasts at the moment.
Very cool. Yeah, there's so many out there. I think you were talking about the School of Greatness, maybe.
School of Greatness. Yes, sorry.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
he's been at it for a while. Um, very cool. Um, yeah, I guess this is so random, but like, do you guys have like I really like Lex Friedman. He's a tech podcast guy.
Lex.
Um, yeah, he's like he does like podcasts ranging from like AI to like autonomy cars. He's done like all kinds of really cool videos on like working with like autonomous vehicles, and um, he goes into like geopolitics stuff, and really interesting guy. And at the end, he always asks a question like, "What do you think is the meaning of life?" So to I guess make this podcast a little bit spicy,
Hmm.
Chris, what do you think is the meaning of life?
I mean, is there really just one meaning? For me, I would say it has a lot to do with learning, growth, joy, and service.
Nicely said. What about you, Veronica?
I think the meaning of life, like I was saying, I was talking to them earlier before we started. I think the biggest total meaning of life is just like, what's your impact? What's going to be your impact when you leave? Like, what do you leave to others? Like I was telling them earlier before we started, like, because we were talking about like your 10-year plan or your 10-year goal, and I was like, maybe on my 20th year, or ooh, I really wanted to have like coding bootcamp or STEM, kind of like nonprofit, but focuses on juvies. I really wanna having a background in public policy. So before public policy, I was a criminal justice major. So, but having all this background, I want to take whatever I have, my skill in tech, to give back to my community. I really want to focus on juveniles because, like, I wrote a paper way back about recidivism, and like most kids, most juvies, just stay like that until they go to their adulthood, and I feel like they will benefit the most in changing their lives, learning some STEM skills.
Very cool. Yeah, Marlon, do you have one?
Um, so I think it's a funny question. I'm only like 27, so um, from the short experience that I've had so far, I would just say I think um, it's just about learning and growing. Improving yourself in any way you think benefits yourself, but at the same time, you want to pass on that like type of positivity of growing and learning to other people at the same time. So it's I would say it's that, and then just about like loving one another, and like respecting each other, and you know overcoming the challenges that get in the way of doing those things. I would say that sums it up for me.
Very cool. Yeah, as we wrap things up here, I'm curious. I want to bring it back to the space of technology. Um, what what are you guys most, I guess, excited about when it comes to the future of technology? Um, I know it's a pretty broad question. I don't want to leave it short term. Feel free to explore long term, but yeah, I'm super excited personally about the space of technology. When I was in the Marine Corps, I would always like, because I was an infantry guy, I would always make fun of people sitting behind a computer all day. I was one of those young guys, had like a fixed mindset instead of a growth mindset. I think that's common for younger folks, young Americans, totally normal. But yeah, as like I got out and I developed myself further, realizing okay, I can think of different sort of fields and careers, and technology was always there growing up, just changing like iteratively, slowly, and now I realize it's like people just are chipping away at it, working hard at trying to iterate this space of technology. And it's really cool that it allowed us to like do what we did over this metaverse platform. Um, I thought it was a lot more exciting than doing it over like Google Meets or Zoom or something. Um, I feel like that would have been really, really dry. Um, and so I think, yeah, like coding and tech needs to be marketed towards veterans and like even hopefully active duty, if I could like puncture that bubble. Because like a lot of the stuff that I was being marketed to, like a lot of the Mickey Mouse institutions and stuff, um, I could have just started earlier, I think, Um, like people are using like, social media apps, Snapchat and, TikTok and Instagram. That'd be really cool if these companies like showed up at the grinder deck one day, or like even at the taps classes. Like, you guys are already seems like fans of our product. Here's like how to, um, I don't know, here's how to step into it, sort of stuff. But yeah, um, what are you guys most excited about when it comes to the future of technology?
I think I'm well. Fallen is a super great example. I remember coming in there and I was like, "Whoa, this a virtual hackathon." It had like the projector screen up, the little stadium for everyone to kind of sit in and just watch the speaker. Like VR is gonna be like, I think it's like the next big wave. It's almost gonna be like a Ready Player One type of thing. Hopefully, it's not as gruesome as it is in that movie, but I think it's heading towards that way. And then there's like a bunch of other things too technology can do. Like I follow Elon Musk a lot, and then he has his man, I can't think of the name right now, but it's like the chip that
Neuralink.
your
Neur
Neuralink, like
Neuralink.
that is just
They're
crazy.
hiring.
Like there's just so many possibilities for
Yeah.
technology. I'm like
The
super
last thing I heard
excited.
about that is like he had like a monkey play a game ping pong or
Mhm.
pong with his mind.
I think I want to say I heard about that, but yeah,
Yeah, which is insane. I can't
yeah,
even imagine
it's
like the coding required to do that.
it's like gonna help
Um,
us. Like it's because that's like you could say like, oh, it's just a chip, but like that chip is like deciphering like what our brain is doing, because obviously it needs to know what it's our brain is doing to allow us to do whatever, allow a monkey to play ping pong with his mind. Like it's not just about inserting the chip, it's like learning everything about us as human beings at the same time, I think.
yeah, Veronica, do you have one?
So I think for me, I'm a huge fan, and I would like in the future I would like to be a robotics engineer, but um, I'm more excited about like autonomous vehicle, like a vehicle or autonomous planes, or there's a lot here. Like for example, I know Bushell and X Moonshot, I believe that's their name. They're creating some machines that will it's for agriculture that will determine if your crop is this, or when is the right time. They like the machine will learn the soil for you, like when is the right time to plant this or whatnot. Is there a pest in my farm, something like that. But it's just like machine and machine learning and computer vision, everything like in that area, like
Have you
that.
been inside an autonomous car?
Autonomous car that I know of is like Zoox in
Hmm.
Neuro. Yeah, yeah. There's the only one that I know so far. Or Tesla,
Yeah,
and then Tesla. Yeah.
yeah. Um, it's such an insane feeling to like sit inside and
I haven't. Yeah.
have it. Yeah, do it. But yeah, Chris, do you have an example of what's exciting for you?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is like by far the most interesting and challenging question that I think I have in regards to technology is, what is the future of technology? What does the world look like with technology moving forward? And really, I'm a strong believer in like a pass, or I'm sorry, not passive, the opposite, a really proactive approach to this question. I think that the future of technology will be whatever we make it. It's up to each of us, both with hands-on what we build, but also for those people who either don't feel like they have the skills or don't have an interest in being hands-on with technology. They still have a part to play, and they the old saying I think that people used to always say was vote with your dollar, right? So what you spend money on determines what there will be more of and where you put your support. But it goes past that, like these days we have to vote with our attention. When you log on to any free platform, especially like social media, what you spend time scrolling through is what the algorithm is going to be fed more and more of. That's what they're going to think more and more people want. So you have to vote with your dollar, you have to vote with your attention, you have to vote with your clicks and your downloads, right? So like these the biggest companies these days, and you know what, I think all companies are really tracking metrics like what are people paying attention to, what are people putting their eyes on, and what are people downloading. And so whether you're building something or whether you're just a participant, like, or an observer of technology and the building of future, you have to pay attention to these things and kind of keep an eye on what you're, uh, I guess, either actively or passively contributing toward. And is that the future? Asking yourself, is that the future that you want with technology?
Um, yeah, as we wrap things up here, I had one question left here. I'm always thinking about different products and services that can be available to the military veteran space. Obviously in the civilian sector, there's numerous like either scooters, there's like all kinds of stuff to food delivery companies, but back on base and even for veterans, I'm just always thinking of different products and services. And one thing that was kind of like like jogging through my mind a little bit was the idea of reunions, and it's so tough to get that set up. And if there was like an Airbnb for unions, that would be really nice. Had like a price meter and AI that generates where to go based on the platoons like like geolocations. Um, yeah, curious. What do you guys think of like that? And do you guys think there should be more products and services towards the this audience, this towards this group of people?
I think definitely, um, like if we're talking about like military training, there's this thing. I don't know if the Marine Corps uses this, but the Army uses miles. You know the miles gear.
No,
Uh, so
haven't
I
heard
don't
of
know
it.
how to explain it, but like miles gear is like you wear it in your Kevlar, you wear it in your vest, and if you're training like for shooting, oh my God, I forgot. But like I feel like the military can can afford more like techie stuff for for their personnel for training. I know we burn a lot of ammo, but there's you know they can like do more. I feel like, especially like in the mental health, maybe in
Mm,
that area.
health,
I don't,
yeah,
yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much about my old unit, but yeah, like maybe something about mental health.
I agree.
Interesting. Yeah, do you have one, Marlon?
Well, maybe. So I actually thought about this when we were building our project for education, and then I think the idea came up where so the idea was for when you pick the school or training program or whatever, it will show you how many veterans are in that program. And then I was thinking, maybe is there like a way to contact those specific veterans in general? So maybe like when you join the military, it could be almost like a social media app, but just for like people in the military. So like once you get out, you can have like, I guess, that kind of
A support,
support
a
area where
support.
like maybe one day of course you lose touch with people you served in all the time, even though you might have been like the best of friends while you guys were working together. We go our different places, we lose touch, it happens all the time. But like it's always like a great time when you're just like, maybe that one time you decide to hit them up, but you don't, whatever, you don't know their Instagram, you don't know their Facebook, but like you created this account in, I would, maybe it's a government website, whether it's whatever. Just you created this account, so you'll find that person you were serving with in that area, and then you can just shoot them a text like, "Hey, what's up? It's been a while." Like, just a little bit easier for you to contact the people you used to serve with, something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, there's certain degrees to connection, so maybe like start like a little bit like go from like cool to warm, and warm would I guess would be like meeting up in person. Yeah, very cool stuff. Any other remarks or input from you guys? Anything that we can do better, that you guys notice that yeah.
I think fall in as a whole, we don't see much of it. So maybe in that sense, like more like LinkedIn exposure or social media, something like
Yeah, yeah, I would love to expose this to everyone.
that.
I can. I mean, I don't know of any company that's doing like hackathons online in the space that we're doing it. Um,
Yeah.
so
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Yeah, I would. My big thing is really not so much a criticism, just like, hey, let's do more of these hackathons. And one of my favorite things was the speakers. So if we can get more speakers, like who are similar to Dr. Oakley and the gentleman who wrote Fearvana and the other speakers we had, I think that really made for a standout hackathon.
Sweet. On that note, I will end the podcast. Let me do the outro music. Do we need one? Yeah, thanks again, everyone, for listening. Stay tuned for future events at fallin.today or Google Vets Hackathon. We show up at the very top. Thank you.